Welcome to my channel. My name is Paul. In this video I'm going to be building a tiki bar. For the first time in a long time, I had some free time in the spring, and I decided to tackle a project I had in mind for a while, ever since I got a countertop for free from a demolition. And ever since then, that countertop has been in my backyard. So I was, in the back of my mind, thought about using it for a project, and finally settled on this. In a future video, I'd like to go over the lighting setup and how the bar looks like at night. Also maybe go over how I connected the TV. So stay tuned for the upcoming video, and hopefully I'll show you the inside of the bar as well, and also some of the equipment I use to make the drinks. Before starting this project, I watched a lot of other YouTube tiki bars, so hopefully my version will give you some ideas if you ever decide to build one yourself. So maybe I'll go over some of the reasons why I started to make this tiki bar. So I guess the reason number one was just having sort of like a gathering place for friends and family. I have lots of family visiting throughout the summer, and I have friends that come over sometimes too. So having a place where they could gather around and sit down and share a cocktail and sort of bar atmosphere in the backyard would be fun. I enjoy learning new skills, and I thought learning how to make cocktails would be a worthy endeavor. I always enjoyed the tropical bars I visited over the years, and not only the drinks themselves, but also the atmosphere and the aesthetics of the bars themselves. It turns out there's a lot that goes into making a tropical drink, and there's a lot to learn. Another reason is the quality of the drinks you're able to make at home. Kind of like home cooking, you choose the ingredients that go into it, and you can customize to your taste preferences. So you can make at home something that tastes better than what you can get at a bar. I also keep a lot of tropical looking plants planted in the ground and real tropical plants planted in containers. So I thought a tiki bar would be a great addition to a tropical looking garden. This is my trumpet vine. I let it take over my house basically. You see it stretches all the way up there. And I left rows of share in here. So in this video, I'm going to go over the full construction process, the kinds of materials I chose to use to make it waterproof, at least not to have rain coming in through the roof, and also make it practical, the size of the bar and measurements. A rough estimate of the construction costs and the lumber is around $1,000, plus the countertop, whatever it may cost you, and the bar cabinet. I was lucky enough to find mine for $30. Alright, so just a quick measurements of the finished bar. So the bar is roughly 89 inches from post to post up front, and from front to back it's roughly 62 and a half inches. So front to back 62 and a half. And then the slope of the roof, it drops off about 7.5 inches from the front to the back, and it uses 15 of those boards, and the roof is 10 feet across. The countertop is 42 inches high, and it's 75 inches wide. And these posts here, they extend 89 inches. 89 inches from top here to the bottom, plus there's about 2 feet in the ground. Where I'm going to be building the tiki bar. So I want to extend it about this far out, which is 4 feet, and maybe go 1 foot beyond the wall here for the back wall. I'll cut back the bushes, and a little bit wider than this countertop that I have. This is granite countertop, so it'll be about 8 feet wide and maybe 5 feet deep altogether, something like that. So that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. So I'll cut back the bushes, dig up a hole for the posts. I think I'm going to start with the back wall, and that way I'll have something solid to latch onto as I'm building it. So today I'm just hoping to build out the holes, to dig out the holes for the 2 posts. So it's a pretty nice warm day, but not too hot just yet. So pretty good day for digging. So making progress on the bar here. I bought 6x6 posts, and I just painted this with like a rubber paint and dug in the holes. So I have all 4 holes dug right now. So I'll do 4 posts, and then do 6 posts, 6x6 posts in the front, and then 1 post over the top, and then the back I'm just going to use 4x4 posts. So made quite a bit of progress, but it's been so windy today. I'm a little bit afraid of putting up the posts in case the wind blows them over, so I got to secure them. In order to align the posts and to level things, I was using a board like you see here on the top and just placing the 4-foot level on top. The level is not long enough to span the full distance, so that's the only way I found it possible. Also the twisting of one post relative to the other, you can just put a board and then just make sure they're both lining. So I needed to shorten the top beam from 10 feet to about 100 inches. So about 20 inches were cut off. And I was a little bit worried, quite a bit worried about this step because I wanted to have a nice clean finish at the tip. And I needed basically the saw that I had would not be able to do one clean cut. So I would have to flip the beam over and cut from the other side. So I just wanted to make sure that both sides align after the cut. And it was a little bit tricky, and I think I ended up going 3 times over. Next, I needed to countersink the bolts I was going to use to fasten the top beam to the posts, the front posts. The screw bolts that I was going to use were a little bit short, so I wanted to make sure that they're holding properly by countersinking them a few inches. Alright, the battery just died. So the next step was adding the top beam over the front posts. And just to make sure that the beam did not fall off, I added 2 back boards, one each to the back of each post. And that was going to hold the beam in place. Next, I checked the overhang on each side of the top beam and moved it accordingly until it was even on both sides. Once properly aligned, I just secured it with 2 screws through the backboards to hold it in place. Next, to make sure that the bolt went in easy, I used a really long drill bit to pre-screw a hole through the beam itself. This will make driving the screw bolt much easier in the next step. Alright, so today I'm attaching the roof, and the way I did it was first I touched the top 2x4 from underneath to the posts, and then from top I attached the bottom 2x4 to the top of this 4x4 post, and then I screwed in from the top. So it's both screws going up and screws going down. And now I'm just gonna align these posts here on the back, and I'm screwing them in from the bottom, and the boards on top are gonna keep them in place. So that's the idea. So maybe what I'll do is explain the previous step better here. Essentially what happened was I used 2 2x4s. The first 2x4 was screwed into each header from the bottom, the bolt going up, the screw going up into the header through the 2x4. I used a 1/4 inch trim, like a floorboard trim, to make sure that the angle is correct, that the headers are sloping at the correct angle. And then I screwed in that 2x4 into a 2x4 that was screwed into the top beam. Essentially using those 2x4s allowed me to raise the roof, giving a steeper pitch, and also made it easier to screw in the headers and secure the headers in place. So next step was to add the boards on top of the headers, and unfortunately not all the boards were the same length, so I needed to trim quite a few of them to 10 feet. To screw in the last few boards, I need to climb on the roof and screw them in from the top. Alright, so just starting the roof right now on the Tiki Bar. I'm gonna go with first one backwards layer of shingles, and then I'll layer over the top of these. And I don't think I have enough, so I might have to go back to the store. I have 2 boxes, and I think I'm gonna need a little bit more than 2 boxes. So this is about I think 8 times. It's not quite 8, but close to it, so around 80 square feet. Yeah, it's a hot day today, so been delaying this because it's a little bit too hot. My initial idea was to have the bar cabinet on wheels so you'd be able to pull it out. However, I was only able to find 2 of the 4 wheels I set aside for this project. I ended up scrapping the idea, and eventually what I settled on doing was doing a front-facing countertop, which is this granite countertop, and the countertop on the cabinet would be 10 inches lower. This is where the bartender would be working on. So at this step, I'm just trying to get this very heavy countertop, this granite countertop, to be high enough to later place in place so it sits on the posts. Alright, so what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to frame out the inside here, and I'll put a bar on top, 2x4 on top, and that's going to support the bar. And I'll brace it from the top. At least that's the idea, so we'll see how it goes. but that's the idea. Alright, so here's the progress. I basically built a ledge out of 2x4s. So like a step for the countertop. So now I'm just going to be trying to get the countertop on here. Alright, so how about here? The countertop weighs around 300 pounds. So it's quite a bit of effort on a really hot day, humid day. Alright, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the legs here. Either shorten them or get rid of them altogether. So wooden cabinet I repurposed. We'll see how long it holds up, but basically I just bought this used for $20. I could not possibly build anything for that little of a price. I have it just raised off the ground a little bit, so it's never standing touching the ground directly. So we'll see how it does. We'll see if it holds up, how many seasons it's gonna last. And underneath here you can see the countertop, how it's set up here. It's granite countertop and the alcohol bottles, and still have to wire things up a little bit better. Alright, so the sun is setting right there, and here's the Tiki Bar I just recently completed, or almost completed. I still need to work on the lights, but last week I had my first party, real party, had some friends over. It was a lot of fun. So making a lot of tiki rum-based drinks, and yeah, that's pretty much it.